Hello, aspirants. Hello. Hello, good evening, all. So, good evening to session. Uh, Hi, good evening, Balagopal. Good evening, all. So, like always, I think we should just wait for the other aspirants also to join. Good evening, Tulasi. So, yes, yesterday's class. Good evening, all. So, yes. So, like always, we'll wait for a few more minutes so that other aspirants could also join the session. And today's class will be about the banking systems of India. That what governs. Yesterday class we discussed about that India as a nation, that we have lots of sectors that is in the macroeconomics. We have lots of aspects and factors to be taken into considerations. So this is not a loose economy that wherein we say that something is governing by itself. It's automatically governing. It's nothing like that. So there is a mechanism. There is a system to governing all the functions, and that will be discussed here in the class. Yes, so it's 8:35 right now, so we'll wait till 8:37 or something, and then we'll start on with the class. So I think even tomorrow also we'll be taking a few questions from economics, and day after tomorrow you tell me which subject that you need to be taken care of. I think probably geography, because it's been a while since I've taken any portions from geography. I think I'm just my suggestions. Okay, I'm just thinking I'll be taking geography day after tomorrow. If there's any other portion that you want clarifications in, then do let me know that. You could WhatsApp me or let me know in the comments or in the chat box. So, so yes. So just quickly join the session, everyone. So yes. So I think we should just start on with the class. Like I said, today we will be discussing about what governs or what controls and regulate all the financial functions here in India. And for that, we need to understand what is banking and what is financial sectors and what is the importance of these aspects or these spectrums here in Indian economy. And yes, so this is what being on going to be taught over here. The introduction, the need for all the banks. It's not just about the public administrative banks, but also hi, Annie John, but also private enterprises as well, and the history of all the banking systems here in India and different categories of banking industries. And then, yes, the most important part of your banking sector is your RBI or Reserve Bank of India, and the functions and the objectives of the RBI. And at the end, what are the tools used by the RBI? Okay, like yesterday, if you remember, I told you, right? If there is an inflation in the economy, you know what the RBI will be doing? They'll be controlling the interest rate and all. So all that, and the amount of uh, liquid currency. Yes, what is the suggestion? I need John. What is the suggestion you can ask? Okay. So even for the banks, sometimes they have to maintain a certain amount of liquid ratio or liquid amount in the banks. So that all will be discussed here. So yes, what is the suggestion? You can ask me that so that I can start on with the class. Okay. Yes, so you can ask me whenever you want. So I think we'll just start on with the class. So yes, India is a nation. If you could just take the history of India, we can know that until the advent of Europeans, or until the advent of all these Britishers and all these foreign people and foreign traders here in India, India's economical system was very high and very prosperous. We were contributing a lot to the overall world economy, GDP and all. But after these Europeans came here in India, structured coaching webinar. I'm sorry, I can't understand. Structured coaching. Ogunad, Nallad, no offline. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question. Okay, so yes, so after all these Europeans came here in India, especially the Britishers, we all know what was the policy that was implemented by these Britishers. What is that? Draining of the wealth. Whatever they got here from India, they just drained it, sucked the life of India, and they took it to their homeland. And if we were to compare what they did to the other nations that they went as colonies, for example, America, New Zealand, and Australia, they went there as first imperialism and then colony. But after after uh, few years, we found that after a few years we can find that they actually settled over there, and they made it their homeland. But here they couldn't do that, and I made a separate video on that, why these Britishers settle here in India. Do watch that. So, and since their only motive was that draining whatever they could get, sort of like looting here. They came here as robbers, they looted all the resources, wealth, and economy. They completely destroyed the economic system of India, and then they went back to their homeland in 1947. So when these freedom strugglers uh, see, is it beneficial to spend money and do offline coaching? I think I should say that it totally depends. It's very related kind of a question, because for some students, it doesn't matter. Some students, it is better to do online, and for some students, offline. And if you're the first time aspirant, I mean, first time that you're appearing, or the first year that you are preparing, I would suggest you to go for, any sort of like a paid coaching. The reason is that you will be having a mentor for yourself, anyone that they will guide you through it. So if you're the first time here, or stepping your foot into your search preparations, I would suggest you to go for any paid coachings and all. I don't If you're paying for that, I would recommend you to go for the physical ones, the real classes, the real classroom set of coaching institute. But I don't know about the paid online forms and all, because I don't know how far that will be able to convey that to the students and the aspirants. It's okay if you're second time or third time, but for the first time, I would always suggest you to have a mentor. A guide is very much important. I will be your mentor. I mean, you can ask me other questions, but there is certain limitations, because I am in different place, and we are meeting each other through, through this online medium, and the questions or the doubts, queries being discussed by each of us could be very limited. So, okay, so you are first time. So I would suggest you to go join some coaching institute at least for few months. There are some places where they offer 6 months and all, until your mains or prelims and all. Just for a short period, or sort of like a crash course. Reason is that you will be put in the track. We need to fall on the track, and only then it will be easier for us to study by ourselves. Once you're in the track, it doesn't matter whether you're going to an institute or you just have the books and studying at home. It doesn't matter. So that is just my suggestions, and totally depends on you. Yes. So I'll be giving attempt this time for sure. And I already gave two attempts. I think that was in 2014 and 15, and I took a very long break. So 15. So this is 2021. So after this, like 5 or 6 years, I'm writing my examinations, and I'm kind of like super excited, and I really hope that I'll get through it. And yes, and I did go for the coachings for the first two attempts, and that is the reason why I have certain knowledge depending upon that what are the strategies and what are the right ways to do it. So all that will be getting from physical coaching institute. So this is my suggestions. But there are some students, okay, who are very brilliant and they know what to do for themselves, what will work best for themselves. So there are students who do that and study staying at home and buy the books and all the resources necessary for that. Right now I'm doing is that I'm studying by myself and I'm not going for any coaching institutes. Can you suggest some coaching? I think it doesn't matter. Uh, all are good. I've gone to few of them. All are good. I cannot. There's not much difference. Yes, there is difference in terms of fees and course fees and all. Yes, that is sure. But other than that, I don't think in the terms of quality. Uh, Please be with us even if you crack exam. I really hope I crack the exam. But if I crack the exam, yes, I will be mentoring you all, and I will even give my insights into it. What helped me to crack the examinations, my own trial and tested methods, which strategies that I'm using. So I'm always like conveying and sharing all my strategies with you all. And if I have anything else extra, also I'll also do that. And let's hope, and I really hope that I crack this time. Yes, so back to our topic. So our background was that when these national leaders, when they got India, that is when India was handed over to all these freedom strugglers, the problem was that India was in total disharmony and economical crisis, especially with the partition of India going on. We all know, if you have seen some movies or documentaries on the partitions, you must have heard that there were large scale of killing and mob lynching and all. So in both places, okay, it's not just in India, even in Pakistan and India, and other problems, total chaos. And our drafting committee was made in constituted in 1946, but we got the constitution only in 1950. So until for 1947 to 1950, it was sort of like an interim government, and we cannot say this is formed like a nation. So, and yes, the other aspects also. When you're studying each subject, okay, study with all the historical background. That will give you lots of insights into it. And also during those period, we know that India was in different categories and provinces. It's not the India that we see now. And only after 1955, only on the basis of linguistic lines, states were formed here. So many problems were there. uh, I took first coaching in Ernakulam, Kochi. I am born and brought up in Ernakulam. So I took my first coaching in Victor Growth. This is Genius Academy. And then I went to ALS and other institutes as well. I think all are good, and there is no much comparison between all. And one thing is that just because it worked for me, it doesn't mean that it will be right for you all. Always trial and test method. Do what is right for you. Think this is will be right for you. Do that, and just observe whether it's working for you or not. And only after that you switch to it. I would suggest you, like, if you have time, probably if you're not 21, if you're not writing this year or something, if you're writing next year, if you have time enough, try to study by yourself initially and see how you're doing it. And try to do lots of test series and all. So you will know where you're standing. And depending on that, you go and join any institute. And even if anyone, even the top scorer, even the first ranker or civil services give you any tricks and tips, do not copy it as such. Try it first for a few days or at least for a few weeks, and if that works for you, only then you have to continue. And you cannot do that just because it worked well for the other person. It doesn't mean that it will work well for you also. So all are my suggestions only. And next year only, ma'am. Okay, so do one thing. I would suggest you, okay, it's just my suggestion. Try to study by yourself. I've already made a video of all these books that you have to buy for yourself. Buy only the necessary books. There is no point in buying hundreds of books. Do not buy hundreds of books and when you can't even read it. If you have just 10 books, read it 10 times. And that is my mantra that I follow. Instead of buying 10 books and reading one time, buy one book and read it 10 times. That will give you lots of knowledge, lots of wisdom, and each time you read it, it's mostly like watching a movie. The first time that you watch a movie, okay, you'll get basic idea. Each time that you watch the movie, I think it's not just for me, I think even you must have noticed it. Each time that you watch the movie storyline and everything will make sense to you. So same way over here also, if you buy just one book, read it and study thoroughly for 10 times. And the less number of books that you have, that will be more better. So just get only the standard books, and if you're good in that, the source of books in coaching center, is that enough? Like I said, buy only the necessary books. All these coaching centers, they will give you out lots and lots of books. And I have to say that, I still have books that I haven't, at least flipped the page of. And probably just 10, 20 books that I even have now. I mean, that I have from 2015 and all. So I haven't even flipped the pages. The problem is that the more books that you have, you will be discouraged. Buy only, for example, in one subject, buy only one book. And I've made a video of only the necessary books that you have to buy. Buy only that and read that. Okay, take some time and yes, that's a very good idea. Because we are right now talking about economics, but we are derailed and going through the other path. So like I said, whatever that you're doing, do first for yourself. Trial and test method for that yourself. If that works for you, okay, fine. Or else, do something else. Yes. So back to our topic. So during those period, our India's whole system was totally shattered. So they need to have lots of systems and committees for that. And today, when we look into our Indian nation, we know that we have strong macroeconomics fundamentals. Fundamentals are the criterions. Like yesterday, we have lots of markers. If you remember yesterday's class of macroeconomics, that is, we have unemployment ratio, we have this income ratio, we have GDP, GNP. All these are markers. So all these are markers enabling us to see, okay, each year it will be constituted. We cannot say, okay, I am the Prime Minister of India, go take GDP. That cannot happen. There has to be specific certain committees. There has to be certain organizations, and all these all these committees has to be constituted. Only then we can know how we are faring it. See, it's okay. You don't have to apologize. It's okay. I mean, see, if you have any further clarifications, do one thing. Contact me in my WhatsApp number. WhatsApp text me. I'll answer you all the questions, and it's okay. And yes, so that is what. And outsourcing destination, we know that even yesterday I have seen one thing I would like to say is that suppose you missed one day's class, I would request you to watch that class and then come to the live session, because mostly they are continuation classes. So it will be easier for you, and it would be a hard task for you to not get a concept correct. So if you have missed yesterday's class, I would request you to see that first and then come here. So outsourcing destinations, we know that here we have lots of service sector, for example, all the tertiary sector places, and all these services outsourcing here in India. So that is the reason why, how come Bangalore as a small city boomed to be such a high developed metropolitan city? The reason is because of outsourcing services. Services is the call centers, BPOs, and other service sectors and all. And yes, and sorry, this is strong banking, okay, not baking. Okay, we have strong banking sector. Whatever happens in an economy, there will never be a chance where it. Okay, we know that right now we are in recession, but the problem is that this is totally unexpected. It was totally unpredictable because of the coronavirus and the pandemic and all. Otherwise, our system, our economy is totally under well control of all the systems. Whatever happens, for example, if there's a deflation, they'll do necessary arrangements for that. And if you're in a little bit of inflation, they'll do necessary arrangements for that. And impetus on infrastructure development. And like I said yesterday, we are not just aiming for growth, we are aiming for development as such. There is no point when there are 10 people and from that 3 people are contributing 30 crores per year, and other people, they don't even have basic facilities like sanitations or toilet or bathrooms and all. So everything has to be taken care of. Even the infrastructure, schooling, the healthcare, the toilet or these bathrooms and all, the basic necessities also had to be taken care of. So how do you do that? We need money for that. We need money and currency and the money flow in the economy, and only then we will be having a strong nation. And I'm sorry if this is an additional information for you, but when you will be having the world history class, I'll be taking in some the day, not now, probably after a few days and all, after 1 week or something in world history. I think it's in Italy unification. The reason why Italy was able to unify all these on the base of linguistic lines was because the financial system was very good. Their, the economy was very well, and because of that reason only they were able to do all the political integrated integrations also. So if this piece of information is confusing to you, just leave that. And this is just an extra additional passing reference. It's okay. And India is the largest democracy, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And we know we also have other nations also, but it necessarily not be democracy. And introduction. A bank is a financial institution that provides banking and other financial services to their customers, such as accepting deposits and providing loans. For example, a bank, ICICI Bank. What is ICICI Bank's functions? They not just give you a chance to deposit a money, but they also lend the same amount to other people, to other needy, and it's sort of like a give and take. And the margin that they get from it, that is, suppose the bank, ICICI Bank, is collecting 100 rupees from person A, and from that they'll be giving out 70 rupees as a loan to person B, and in between that the interest that they get is the profit of these banking sectors, of these private banking sectors. And banking system also referred to as a system provided by the bank which offers cash management services for their customers, reporting the transactions of their accounts and portfolios throughout the day. It doesn't mean that, for example, I am very rich and all of a sudden I decided that okay, I'm going to start a bank and I'm going to make my own interest rate and my own procedures and organization method. No, that cannot happen. It's totally regulated through RBI, and it's not something like I have money and this is my bank, I am the owner of it, so I don't have my say in it. We have to follow the necessary framework set by these institutions. And the bank safeguards the money and valuables and provide loans, credit payment services such as checking accounts, money orders, and cashier's check. The bank also offer investment and insurance products as well. For example, the HDFC and all. So we have lots of and all. And the need of the bank is to provide security to the savings of customers. For example, I am getting lots of money. I'm getting monthly salaries, or I'm getting daily. I'm just a daily wage laborer. I'm getting 100 rupees a day. The problem is that I am a spendthrift, and how much of money I get, I tend to spend it off. So what do? I go and deposit in the bank. I know that it's safe over there, and whenever I want, I'll get it. I can draw it. And since there is a little bit of process involved in it, I will be discouraged from spending my amount recklessly. And also, when I deposit the amount, I will be getting a little bit of interest. That is, my amount will be used as giving as loan amount to the other person. For that, it's sort of like a rent. Okay, like a rent, I'll be incurring lots of little bit of interest to it. And the other reason is to control the supply of money and credit. Like we all know, suppose India is in forms of inflation. What happens? That is, everyone have money with themselves. So what happened? The product's price will go up. So the government will do what? They'll try to reduce the interest rate of all these savings account, and they'll try to increase the amount for these loans and all the interest rates and all. So whatever they're doing, they're trying to control it. Just because there's actually a misconception that when I was a young child, I used to think that when you don't have money, what's the problem? Can't government mint lots of currencies? Can't they just print out lots of currency notes and give it to the others? No, that's a such a bad backfiring situation. What happens when everyone have money? Everyone have money, but the supply will be very limited. Supply will always remain the same. So that problem will be very disastrous for us. It has to be a gradual process of development. And to increase the public confidence in the working of financial systems, increasing savings speedily and efficiently. Yes, to avoid focus of financial powers in the hands of few individuals and institutions. We all know that we have in a special way that a person cannot hold certain more an amount. For example, 10,000 rupees. You are not supposed to have liquid amount more than 10,000 at your home. And if you have that, you will be raided by these income tax and in customs and all. So because of that reason, the reason is that they don't want black monies to be recurring in all these households and all. That is the reason why we had demonetization by Narendra Modi. He knew that people are hoarding lots of money, currency at their place. So when they cancel out all the money, what happens? And they'll be bringing out new currency note. They know that these money will be of no use, and they could, circulate new currency in the market. For example, I have 10 crores with me at my place, and if I don't take that to the market, what happens? There wouldn't be any circulation of the amount. I will be keeping to that myself. Only if I spend it, there will be circulation in the economy. So that is the problem of black money. And to set equal norms and conditions, that is rate of interest, period of lending, etc., to all type of customers. You cannot just go and approach someone and say, okay, I need 500 rupees here, my property, these papers as collateral. You cannot do that. If you do that, it's very much illegal. And it's not like, have you seen all these films and all? That's not going to happen over here. These banks and these institutions has to be registered here. And history of our Indian bank is the first bank in India is called the General Bank of India, was established by the British East India Company, and it was established in Bengal, and the Bank of Bombay, so Bank of Madras. So these are just history studied for the point of view of your prelims, because for your prelims many objective type questions will be coming with like, for example, what was the first name, or what was the first, which place had the first banking sector, or which place had the first banking institution, and all these will be asked. And these three individual units, that is Bank of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras, were called the presidency banks. Initially, these Britishers had only three provinces. Okay, so for that reason, these three provinces had banks, and they were called as presidency banks. Allahabad Bank, which was established in 1865, was for the first time completely run by Indians. Punjab National Bank Limited, and this is the next question for your prelims, which was the first bank completely run by the Indians, first bank. So that's Allahabad. And Punjab National Bank Limited was set up in 1894 with headquarters at Lahore. Between 1906 to 1913, all these banks were set up. In 1921, presidency banks were amalgamated, that is, it was joined. All these three banks were joined to form the Imperial Bank of India, which was run by European shareholders. That is, what was the three presidency banks? Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. These were joined to form one. That is Imperial Bank of India. After the Reserve Bank of India was established in 1935, and 1935 is actually a very important year for us. The reason is why the Government of India Act of 1935 was given out. It is sort of like a mini constitution, if you would say, 1935 Regulating Act. When we were going through all these, struggle for freedom and national importance and all, Britishers, they gave us sort of like a constitution saying, okay, here are your constitution. And it was a sort of like a mini constitution. And from that, most of it is being derived and implemented in our present constitution. And that is one of the reasons why our Indian constitution is said to be the lengthiest or the longest constitution ever written. And even in 1935, only we had Supreme Court, and now Supreme Court was established, and it was called Federal Court. And yes, and the government policy on banking industry to protect the safety of the public savings. We know that the difference between government and private enterprises is that government is not for profit. Yes, they need profit, they need revenue. Why? So that they could use that for the betterment of the others. But the main objective or the main motive of government to have any sorts of, it's not just about the banking sector, but government to have any forms of institutions or schemes or sectors is for the betterment or for the welfare of the public or the citizens. So for them, the banking industry was set up for the safety of the public savings, to control the supply of money and credit in order to achieve nation's broad economic goal, to ensure the equal opportunity and fairness in the public access to credit and other vital financial services. We know that in 2017 GST was imposed here in India, and until GST there were lots of taxes, lots of small and bigger taxes, and it was very much confusing. Not every people, not every common layman had the idea of all these taxing systems and all. And also people could do lots of manipulations also according to that. But ever since GST came into being, lots of money are being saved from being all these black money and black currency and all. And to promote public confidence in financial systems so that savings are made speedily and efficiently, to avoid concentrations. If you are been talking about the sentence, like if you are like, for example, here in India, if you would trace back from the Indus Valley civilization, there were no currency. It was the barter system. That is, if I want a spectacles, I have this person have a comb. So when exchanging this for that, this is called barter system. And after that, gradually, for example, this, just imagine, okay, this is a gold coin. So the total value of the gold coin will be considered. For example, here right now what we are having is that the 100 rupee note, probably for production of that one single 100 rupee note, probably just 2 or 3 rupees were made or were used up for just printing the 100 rupee note. So this is not balanced. Initially, what happened was that 1 kg of gold coin, or I'm sorry, not 1 kg, 1 gram of gold coin was used as denoted as saying that, say, the value of it was represented as 1 gram of gold coin. Gradually, that was decreased. Now, I think just 2 or 3 rupees will be used up for making 100 rupee note. So, how do we achieve that? It's all through winning the confidence of people. All of a sudden, we cannot mint just all these currency note and saying that, okay, from here onwards we can use this. No, this cannot be accepted to these people. They, because we are the people who came or come from all these barter systems and all. So at first, the same value has to be denoted to the currency or whatever the material is being used for exchanging. Yes. So the public confidence in the financial system, everything, all the policies and formulations that came through is because of the government's way to achieve all the confidence, all these trust of these common people. To avoid concentrations of financial power in the hands of few individuals and institutions. Yes, this is very much important. Black money. To provide the government with credit, tax revenues, and other services to help sectors. Why the government need all these tax revenues and all, so that they can have, we have consolidated and contingency fund. The reason why they need all these revenues is because for the system, for the working of the system, for the government itself, they need to survive on what? They need money for that. And where do they get the money from? Citizens. So it's a sort of like a cycle. So for all these welfare they have to do for us, they need money for that. For the money, we have to give them. And to help sectors of economy that they have special credit need, for example, housing, small business, agricultural loans, etc. The federal bank was first started as a farmers bank, and not just federal bank. There are many banks and all which have their own objective, like SSI banks and all are there. So the reason for that is to give lots of credit facilities or loanings to all these. For some people it will be business related. For some banks, it will be their motive will be women empowerment. So they'll be having their own objectives for that. And regulations of Indian bank and commercial banks are regulated by government entities and require a special bank license to operate. Usually, the definition of business of banks for the purpose of regulation extended to include acceptance of deposits, even if they are not repayable to the customer's order, although money lending. So, this is the points that I already discussed. Central bank regulates banking industry. Central banks also typically have monopoly on the business of issuing banknotes. That is, I am the owner of Axis Bank, and just because I'm the owner of Axis Bank, I cannot start issuing all these coins, all these currencies, and the government has the monopoly over it, the RBI and all. Indian banking industry have been divided into two parts, organized and unorganized sector. The organized sector consists of Reserve Bank of India, commercial banks and cooperative banks and specialized financial institutions. The unorganized sector, which is not homogeneous, largely made of money lenders and indigenous bankers, all these state tools and all. But even then, they are recognized. It's not like just because they don't have many employees under them doesn't mean that they are not. For example, if you have seen Malayalam movie Madambi, Mohanlal is actually registered or recognized, government recognized money lender. It's not like he have money, he started lending out to the people and he started penalizing people who are not giving back his money. It's not like that. People have to be registered. You cannot start being, I'll be a financer from now on. I'll be start giving money and I'll be having my own, rowdies in my gang. And if they don't pay up, I'll be sending my rowdies to beat them up. No, you can't do that. And yes, the outline of Indian banking structure may be presented as follows. Reserve Bank of India, Indian scheduled commercial banks. These are the chronological order, okay. The State Bank of India and associate banks. 20 nationalized banks. So I'll be giving all the PDF files in the Telegram channel. Do follow that. Yes, now is the most important one. Reserve Bank of India, or the Bankers Bank, or the last resort of all the bank. Reserve Bank of India, central bank, and was established in April 1st, 1935, in accordance with the provisions of Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934. The central office of RBI is located in Mumbai since nationalizations in 1949 after independence. Okay, RBI is fully owned by the government of India. It is not, co-owned by the private and all. It's completely owned by the government. Uh, it was inaugurated with share capital of rupees 5 crore divided into shares of 100 each, fully paid up. So this is just a background historical reference to that. RBI Act of 1935 provides statutory basis of functioning of the bank. The bank was constituted for the need of following what is the need for all these regulate. This RBI was constituted for regulations, for to have a check on these people. We know that. Okay, we know that all these committees and all these organizations are set up for certain purposes. So for that we have this. And like how we are, for example, if we need money for building a house, or we need loan for all these education or any other purposes, we know who to approach. Bank. And when the bank have the problem, that is when these bank also go into financial crisis, who do they go up to? The Reserve Bank, that is the RBI. And to maintain reserves with view to securing monetary stability, we're going to discussing that. That is the tools. I guess these are tools used by the RBI so that they could regulate the functions of these banks and all. And sorry, yes, to maintain reserves with a view of securing monetary stability, to operate the credit and currency systems of the current country to its advantage. Whatever is happening, we have to know that, we have to ensure that it is in stability and it's in equilibrium, the Indian economy. And the functions of RBI is a bank of issue. That is, the RBI formulates, implements, and monitors the monetary policy of the whole of nation. Who's formulating it? Just because I'm the prime minister doesn't mean that okay, here onwards I'll be doing that. One single person cannot do. He has to appoint certain committees and certain organizations, certain institutions for that. And RBI as a house was set up. And yes, according to Hilton Young Commission, yes, Annie John, RBI was constituted. And bank, this RBI was formulated so that it implements and monitors all the monetary policies of the whole of India. Its main objective is to maintaining price stability and ensuring adequate flow of credit to productive sectors. That we all know that what happens when one person, he doesn't spend the money, he have lots of money with himself, he have crores and crores of money with himself, and he is not using, he's not spending it. That means that the money is being obstructed, it is not being flowed to the economy. Only when I spend the money, someone else will get the money. So all that will be taken care of. And regulator, supervisor of the financial system, RBI prescribes parameters of banking operation. Yes, that is what we are going to study: reverse repo rate, and all these, certain specifications will be given to all these commercial banking sectors and all, to ensure that everything is under control, it's very smooth. And the RBI wants to make sure that, can a normal man or a private organization able to invest in? No, no. See, RBI is the government owned. It's completely government owned. It's not, a shareholder or something like that. For example, it's not Pepsi company and all where you're gonna buy shares in the ventures. It's not that. Yes. So, yes. What was I saying? Yeah. They are gonna. Sorry. Ah. Yes, and yes, so they're gonna they are the bankers bank. All these commercial bank, when they have the problem, they will be approaching the bank, and also these RBIs are the banks that will be controlling all the functions of any types of bank throughout the whole of nation. It doesn't mean that Axis Bank can have their own liquidity ratio, their own interest ratio. It's nothing like that. All the banks will be given a certain parameter. From this amount till this amount is the minimum. There will be a ceiling price and a flooring price, or a flooring interest. That is, this is the range. From here onwards, depending upon your own objectives and formulas, you can have your own interest rates and all. And the main objective is to maintain public confidence in the system, protect depositors' interest, and provide cost-efficient, effective banking services to the public. That is, we have lots of these chitties and financial institutes and all. The problem is that we will lots of people, lots of lower middle class and middle class people will be investing lot, depositing lot to all these chit funds and all. All of a sudden, this chit fund will just break off, and they will just run away with the money. So, just because this is only luckily being focused only on these chit funds or these sectors. It's not gone through other private bankings and also lucky for us. So who does that? Okay, it's RBI. RBI makes sure that these people are not conning us. They are not fooling us and taking our money. And we have the money, and they'll be using some stupid legal formalities and saying that okay, your money is gone. So there has to be a checker for that. And yes, lender of last resort. That is, all these bankers bank is lender of last resort. And issuer of currency, RBI issues an exchange or destroys currency coins that are no fit for circulation. Main objective is to give the public adequate quantity of supplies of currency notes, coins, and in good quality. Before, I think it was before 30-40 years, it was pretty common that we find lots of inscriptions on notes and all. Some people's phone numbers will be written, and some proverbs and quotes will be written. If you are that old, okay, I'm not talking about all these 20 23-year old people, but at least 27 28 people, you must have seen that all these currency note before all these years back and all. So that is totally being taken care of. That cannot happen right now. All these notes have to be intact, and which is not fit for circulation will be destroyed by that. And developmental role, RBI performs a wide range of promotional functions to support the national objectives such as contest, coupons, maintain good public relations, and many more. And controller of credit, that is, it holds cash reserves of scheduled banks. Uh, we will discuss that. There are certain criterions or certain tools or parameters used so that these banks can say that okay, you're supposed to maintain certain amount as liquid ratio. You cannot, for example, you get 100 crores from deposit. You cannot use 100 crores for giving out loans. No, you can't do that. Probably you can use probably a 40% of it. The reason is that all of a sudden when people come and ask for deposit backs, what happens? The bank is not in a position to give back. Why? Because they have given out all the money as loan. So there are certain things being set up by these RBIs to make sure that it's not being, we are not manipulated by these private bankers and all. It controls the credit operations of banks through quantitative and qualitative controls. It controls the banking system through system of licensing, inspections, and calling for information. Like I said, just because I have lots of money doesn't mean that I will be a money lender from tomorrow onwards. I have to be organized. I have to be acknowledged by the government of India. And it acts as the lender of the last resort by providing rediscount facilities to scheduled banks. That is, suppose like how we have financial crisis and we approach banks for loans and credits and all. Same way also, this is sort of like a last resort. When these bankers, these private banks, when they come into financial crisis, they go and approach these RBIs. So this is just a pictorial diagram, and RBI Bank and Financial Institutes, and also just get into it. And yes, the Indian scheduled commercial banks, we have commercial banks, we have scheduled banks, we have unscheduled banks, commercial banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, and these are the types of banks. But even we have more categories than that. Uh, Commercial banks is an institution which acts as deposit, makes business loans, and offers related services. More likely a typical bank, okay, just a normal bank you think of. Commercial bank, a typical bank. And This commercial bank also allow for variety of deposit accounts such as checking, savings, and time deposit. For example, I deposit money and I also get checks for that. That is all these blank checks that I can use it for myself, and I also get other facilities like ATM cards and net banking and all. So that is commercial bank. And these institutions are run to make profit and owned by a group of individuals. Like I said, for example, Axis Bank. Axis Bank is getting 100 rupees as deposit. From that, they'll be giving out 60 rupees as loan. And when you give out the loan, they'll be garnering a little bit of revenue as interest. From that, they'll be giving some amount of margin from that to these depositors also, sort of like renting money. So that profit is the profit of commercial banks. And yet so many maybe members of Federal Reserve System, while commercial banks offer services to individuals, they are primarily concerned with receiving deposits and lending to businesses. Commercial banking structures in India consist of scheduled commercial banks and unscheduled commercial banks. And scheduled banks are consist of those banks which have been included in second schedule of RBI Act of 1934. And scheduled banks are those banks whose minimum paid up capital reserves are not less than 25 lakhs, which is not less than 25 lakhs. Okay, this is the ceiling amount. And scheduled banks in India means State Bank of India, constituted under the State Bank of India Act of 1955, a subsidiary bank as defined in State Bank of India in 1959, and State Bank of India. I think when you have an account in State Bank of SBI, and when you don't have the necessary, minimum balance, they will, I think they'll tax you, or they'll give you lots of fine for that, for not having specific amount of money or minimum balance of money in your account. So yes, this was formulated by the government, but still, I don't know why they are doing all these things and all. And private sector, public sector, foreign banks comes under the umbrella of scheduled commercial banks. Now is unscheduled banks. This means that banking company is defined in clause of section 5 Banking Regulation Act of 1949, which is not a scheduled bank. And commercial bank, which dominate the industry, same thing, offers full range of services for individuals and everything. Same thing, Regional rural banks, this is, they have a specific formation. For example, in Kerala, there is Kerala Grameen Bank. Kerala Grameen Bank was for farmers, small farmers, and the interest rate. That is, for example, if I deposit, the interest rate will be very high, and if I take loan, also the interest rate will be very less. So, and also there are SSI banks, there are business banks, and also these are set up so that they can encourage or do for the welfare of the others. And these are the regional rural banks and all. And we don't have any these banks in other places. We can have Kerala Grameen Bank in Karnataka or in Odisha and all. And rediscount. During Corona crisis, they lifted the minimum balance criteria for some deals. Yes, yeah, this is, for example, like we said, Corona and the other unpredictable situations that we had here, it was totally beyond the understandings of RBI. It's not something that is they are ready for. Our nation were never ready for such, epidemic sort of related disaster, like a medical disaster or any sort of like epidemics. So, because of that reasons only they have to do that, so that it ensures that it doesn't affect the others. And cooperative bank roles in rural financing continues to be an important event today, and their business in urban areas has also increased phenomenally in recent years, mainly due to the sharp increase in number of primary cooperative banks. I think we have lots of cooperative banks in rural areas. I find more that than in the towns and urban planships and all. While cooperative banks in rural areas mainly finance agriculture-based activities including farming, cattle, milk, hatchery, personal financing along, that is, everyone constitute to be the owner of the bank, something similar to that. And example of cooperative banks are Saraswati Cooperative Bank, Jan Kalyan Sahakari Bank, and we have many cooperative banks. Each panchayat, sometimes some panchayats will be having their own cooperative banks and all. So yes, such banks also are very, very good for the welfare of the citizens. And now comes the most important part. That is, what are the tools used by the RBI so that they can ensure that the money supply is very much intact, and also it is not, these banks are not doing what they wish to be doing. That is, there has to be a checker. There has to be, for example, if you do a crime, we are scared that police will catch it. So same thing also, the bank will also should have a fear in their mind that if they do something bad, there will be someone beyond the authority to look after that. So cash reserve ratio or CRR is the amount of the funds that bank has to keep with the RBI. If the RBI decides to increase the percent of this unavailable amount of banks comes down, RBI, yeah. Ah, that is, for example, the reason is that this, for example, a bank, Axis Bank, all of a sudden they are getting lots of deposit. They are giving out lots of schemes and policies to people, and they're getting lots of deposit. What happens if they are getting lots of money? It is a threat. That is, they might, overpower the nation. They might, do something which is not in the best interest of the people, and there are certain fears as also associated with it. So for those reasons the RBI will say that okay, from this amount, from the total deposit that you have to give some amount, and you have to deposit that amount in our RBI. So that is very much okay, that is very much important over here. And repo rate is that whenever banks have any shortage of funds, they can borrow it from the RBI. And repo rate is a rate at which our banks borrow money from the RBI. That is their own interest, the loan interest. And a reduction in repo rate will help banks to get more money at a cheaper rate. When repo rate increases, borrowing from the RBI becomes more expensive. Currently the repo rate is 8.0, and this has to be updated. It keeps on changing, and you have to keep on, repo rate is sort of like our loan rate, something similar to that, the rates of all these bank for these RBI to get loans. And then is reverse repo rate, is rate at which Reserve Bank of India borrows money from banks, and banks are always happy to lend money to RBI since their money are safe. That is, they know that it is not just a Swiss bank or any other international foreign bank. This is something authority of India, so they know that the importance of it and how far that will benefit them. An increase in reverse repo rate can cause the banks to transfer more funds to RBI due to this attractive interest rate. It can cause the money that will they'll also get interest along with that. And just because there is RBI doesn't mean that we'll go and deposit all the money. They'll be giving certain amount of percentage of amount that we can deposit. Does RBI take credit from foreign bankers? There is, when we have financial crisis and all these problems are there, it's not just with RBI, it's with all the other, any foreign, we can, from the UN also we can borrow money, from the World Bank and all. So it's not necessarily that we as a nation, we are right now currently in lots of debt, and we will be, paying that back. And it's okay, and we know that ours is a developing nation, but we are developing at a faster pace, so it doesn't mean that we are borrowing money from outside foreign institutes and all, so it's okay, we'll send them back. 4% currently reverse repo. Okay. Yes, so due to the fine tuning of RBI using tool to CRR and all, we know that currently reverse repo rate is 7%. And also, do not by heart these rates and all. The problem is that you have to keep on updating it. This will keep on changing, and sometimes quarterly, sometimes yearly. So you have to keep that in check. Okay. And SLR statutory liquid ratio is the amount of commercial banks need to maintain in the form of cash. That is, like I said, suppose a bank, Axis Bank, is getting 100 crore rupees as deposit. It doesn't mean that they have 100 crore rupees and they can give that out for loan so that they can get lots of profit for that. No, they can't do that. The problem is that, all of a sudden when all these depositors comes and ask for their deposits, what happens? The people will lose confidence in these, these commercial banks and all. Okay, repo rate. Okay. So that's the reason why the SLR is being constituted. You have to, that is RBI saying that even if you get 1,000 crores of rupees, you have to maintain certain percent of amount as liquid. That is as ready cash or as gold or, liquid rate. You can have it, you can deposit in some other place, but you have to keep it with yourself. And SLR rate is determined and maintained by the RBI in order to control the expansion of bank credit. Bank credit is that they'll be getting 100 crores as deposit, they'll be giving out 100 crores of loan. So what happened, the economy will, people will start uh, living so that they can pay off the loans and all. So that happens. And bank rate is also called as discount rate. It is a rate at interest which a central bank charges on the loans in advance provided to commercial banks. Currently the bank rate is 9%. Yes, this is the loan rate. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 were the tools used by the RBI to control credit and deposit and all the other forms of money supply. And in the okay, reverse repo rate is 3.35%, but also that you have to keep on updating because, like I said, depending upon the economic situation and our economy, this will also keep on changing because the RBI's main objective and role is to keep the economy stable. So suppose we are in, going towards deflation. So what happens? The rates also will be keep on changing within that. So you have to keep on updating. And suppose you're going to write exam today, Google today morning itself what all these rates are because that's more better. And yes, so these were the 5 tools used by the RBI. So this was a very short class about the banking sectors and the financial systems or the banking systems of here in India. And that was it for today's class. And if there's any, is this quantitative credit control? Okay, this is, yes, this is quantitative. Money is quantitative. You can't measure money in terms of qualitative. It's quantitative. And yes, yeah. So RBI's main job was to control and regulate the functions and the supply of flow of money. And we have the history. So just study that with because before your prelims also these types of questions will be asked. And also if you have basic information and knowledge within yourself, it will be easier for writing your mains and all. And the government policy is actually very general. If you have the basic understanding, you can write by own self. So that's it for today's class. And tomorrow we'll be having something similar to that. I haven't looked into the topic for tomorrow's discussion. So that's it for today's class.